All right, good day, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm. Today we are finishing up our grazing school, and my special guest today is Jessica. And Jessica, tell me a little bit about your background and what you're up to.
So a little bit about my background. By trade, I'm a geologist. I'm currently based out of Texas, but I come by way of Chicago, originally from New Zealand.
New Zealand?
New Zealand, yes, sir.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Which island were you on?
North Island.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So what got you in this movement of regenerative agriculture? Why did you come to the school?
That's a good question. How could you not come to this school is a better question. So it's curious because I've been dabbling with the carnivore diet. After years of being inadvertently vegetarian, it wasn't intentional, but being in college, that was kind of just the general trend. Even going to the dining hall is more geared towards that kind of diet, and just becoming educated on the benefits of cattle. So after being more or less vegetarian for 10 years, when I knew I was moving to Texas, I intentionally got back into eating meat. And from there it kind of segued. And most recently, it's just been fascinating because once you appreciate the benefits of meat, and especially autoimmune conditions, any number of ailments you can typically heal with a carnivore diet. And that was kind of a game changer for me, just in terms of understanding that my diet was leading potentially to some less than ideal health conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So getting turned on to that was certainly a paradigm shift for me, and ultimately that led me to have an interest actually in understanding the cattle industry at large. I've driven by feedlots. It kind of hits you hard when you see it.
Mm-hmm.
I saw some out in Colorado last summer. That's not what Mother Nature intended. And so if we think about what we're putting into our bodies and bring it back to kind of the front end, this is kind of where my interest started to be born, I think, in terms of understanding how can we heal our soil, how can we heal our land with cattle. And so that's why I'm here today.
Yeah. Well, that's a great story. You were talking about earlier, you're getting concerned because you're hearing a lot of people spread falsehoods about how livestock are destroying the world, but
Absolutely.
You have a different attitude on that.
I certainly do.
Let's cover that just a bit.
I certainly do. I think it's, I guess quite simply, it's terrifying that people would think that cattle are the problem. And I think if we consider our broader environmental problems, cattle, if anything, are actually an advantage that we have. And so I think grouping cattle into a bucket of polluters, I think that's a sleight of hand, and it's a trick, because ultimately cattle are a mechanism for people to be healthy. It's a mechanism to heal the soil. And at the end of the day, when you go and you see a very healthy ecosystem, that cattle is not just benefiting humans, it's benefiting the entire ecosystem at large. And so there are grander impacts. And if we consider our environment as well, if you drive through pristine farmland and you compare that to other areas that maybe are not getting the kind of attention that cattle are, I think if we kind of switch our focus, we really should be focusing on the things that really are impacting our health, certainly especially in urban settings. And so if you come into a rural setting, the cow is not the problem. Let's put it that way.
Yep. Well, what did you think about that pasture walk today? Standing on that green field and all these red cattle come busting down that hill toward us.
Amazing.
And the dragonflies.
Yes.
There was thousands of dragonflies over our head.
Yes. It's a magical sight because that's life, right? If you think about what is it that we're trying to accomplish as humanity, and if we just bucket everything as, well, this is wasteful, or we are too much of a consumer society, in its essence, the thing we should be consuming are the things that we're actually intended to consume. And so that's meat, that's cattle, venison.
Yep.
And so if we're depriving ourselves of that, and in other words, we're trying to outfox nature in a sense, and
Yep.
at the end of the day, we end up only hurting ourselves in terms of our own health. But then coming back to your point, I think when you see healthy animals, thriving animals, and beautiful pastures that are also thriving with life, doesn't that seem to be actually in balance?
Yep.
And isn't that actually the definition of nature? And so why are we trying to push things to be out of balance when they naturally want to be in balance?
That's
and
right.
so this is, I think this new movement is very much focused on balance. And I certainly see it, especially in my peer group. People are eager to find that balance in their life. And it really starts with food.
Yep.
If you are feeding yourself something which fundamentally is laced with chemicals or coloring ingredients, which might lead to cancer, you're kind of putting yourself at a disadvantage versus, gosh, eating cows that have only ever eaten
Grass that was grown with sunlight.
Yeah, you're probably, I don't know. Is that really the best thing for us? I think there's an opportunity here for people to really discover what vitality feels like and what it feels to be truly nourished, where your body actually feels like it's getting all of the nutrients it actually needs and you're not depriving yourself. And I think that's, when I think about American society in relationship to food, it's about deprivation. Whether that's through dieting, whether that's through restriction, it's inverted. And I think we need to shift that mindset to one of abundance and health. And that leads to vitality, and that's a healthy society. So if you have sick people, you have a sick society.
Yep.
Healthy, balanced people, healthy, balanced.
Well, there's an old saying, Jessica, junk in, junk out. And so our food today, I mean, we're eating this highly processed food as a nation.
Yes.
And now our health, I mean, I can remember as a little kid in high school, as a small school, there's one girl in the whole school that had diabetes. Guess what the ratio is now? It's 1 in 7.
It's terrifying.
Something has changed.
Yes.
And I don't know, it's the closer you eat to nature and where it was grown, I think you're gonna be better off.
100%.
Jessica, thank you so much for taking time to tell us your story. And as a closing comment, what suggestion would you give to people that are on the fence about the way they're eating? Like maybe there is another way. What would be your advantage, or your positive attitude? I like your attitude. What would be your advice to them?
I think you have to experiment, but you have to give yourself enough time to actually feel the benefits. But our bodies have become addicted to sugar. And so when you try to segue to a healthier diet, it won't necessarily be easy for the first few weeks. So you have to power through that, but you come out the other side. And to wake up fully energized, gosh, how good would that feel? To wake up and you don't have any digestion issues?
Yep.
Gosh, how great would that feel? And so maybe do an inventory of the things that are not going so well for you personally. I certainly went through that journey. And when you understand that you're actually not optimizing your health and that you could be performing at a better, higher level just by switching your diet, game changer.
That's a win-win.
Yeah, it is.
It's a win-win. That's awesome. I think that's a great place to end it. Jessica, thank you for your time. Thanks for coming to our grazing school, and I hope to see you again one of these days.
Thank you.
All right, take care, everyone.